Hi, my name's Amanda West-Lewis, and I'm going to read to you today from my book, September 17. September 17 is based on a true story that happened during the Second World War. A group of children were being evacuated from London to Canada on a ship called the City of Benares. Most of them were traveling without their family, but I'm going to read to you today from a section about Sonia Beach. Sonia Beach is 11, and she's traveling with her mother, her older sister Barbara, and her younger brother Derek. They're on the ship. They're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. There's a storm raging all around, and the ship has just been hit by a torpedo, so they have to evacuate and get to the lifeboats. September 17, 1940, 10:20 p.m. The fierce wind of the storm made Sonia want to turn back to the comfort of the lounge, but she went with her mother, sister, brother to Lifeboat 4 as she had done at every drill, every day. But this time, in the dark, with a storm raging all around, it was terrifying. There were children everywhere. Sonia had no idea there were so many children on board. They were wandering around in pajamas, clutching bears and dolls, holding life jackets limply by their sides. She saw a girl about Barbara's age, kneeling, her arms wrapped around 4 crying brothers and sisters. She saw a nurse holding a girl. They were both covered in blood. A small child held a large teddy bear. Fleeting images as her mother's iron grip pulled her forward toward their lifeboat. Then, suddenly, Sonia's heart skipped a beat. Their lifeboat wasn't there. The Lascars were turning the handles and reeling out the ropes, and as she looked down over the edge, she could just make out their lifeboat dangling beside the ship, almost at the water. "Wait! Stop!" her mother cried. A sailor turned to them, his white face stricken. We can't reel the boat back up. It's too heavy." "But what are we to do now? We're supposed to be in that boat," shrieked Sonia's mother. "Do you think you can climb down a rope?" the sailor asked. "This one, the painter, is connected directly to the front of the lifeboat." Sonia was stunned. Her mother stared, open-mouthed. The Lascars stood stiffly holding the handles that connected the ropes to the lifeboat far below. "Yes," said Barbara suddenly. "Yes, I can. I did it at school, Mother," she said as her mother started to object. "I'll go first, and you'll see how easy it is." She grabbed the painter as the sailor held it steady. She worked her way off the open deck and began to inch down, hand over hand. Sonia stared into the dark and mist. She could barely see the lifeboat below. It was as though Barbara had launched herself into the vast unknown. But then she heard a thump and a cheer. Barbara had landed safely. "Come on then, young lad, I'll take you down myself," said one of the other sailors. He grabbed the rope and placed Derek in front of him. "Hold on tight. That's right, just one hand at a time," he said. "We'll go together." Derek's eyes were full of concentration as they headed down into the mist below. Suddenly the sailor holding the top of the rope swore. What?" screamed Sonia's mother. Her voice sounded thin over the roar of the wind. "The lifeboat was moving away," he shouted. "A wave hit them and pulled them from the ship. It must have wrenched the painter loose. Your son is on his way back up." "But what about Barbara?" wailed Sonia's mother. "She's in good hands. Officer McCrae is there, commanding the lifeboat. She's safe with him." Derek's eyes were wide with fear and excitement when he got back to the deck of the ship. "It was like flying. We were hanging from the rope, and the wind was blowing us all around." Sonia turned to look at the embarkation deck. Everywhere there were people running and falling, screaming and crying. The ship lurched, and she lost her balance and fell. The ship's bow started to rise into the air, and she started to slide. "Grab the rail!" her mother shouted. Sonia held on as the cold spray from a wave hit her. "I need my hands free," her mother shouted. "I'm not going to be able to carry my purse, but we can't lose all our money." Sonia watched her mother frantically shove money and passports into her pockets. "Sonia, put my jewelry in your pockets." But as her mother opened her jewelry box, there was a jolt, and rings, pearls, earrings, and necklaces scattered on the deck. Her mother screamed and dropped to her knees, trying to gather up the gems. Suddenly the ship lurched again, and all 3 of them fell sideways. Sonia landed flat on the icy deck. She pulled her sopping hair out of her eyes and looked around, trying to figure out what to do. She got on her knees and scanned the deck. The sailors were gone. The Lascars were gone. All of the lifeboats were gone. Sonia felt nauseous as panic began to overtake her. Down here! A strong voice reached them in the darkness. To the stern! To the rafts! Sonia slid downhill with Derek and her mother to the stern end of the ship. Officer Hetherington and Mr. Davis, the man from the BBC, were untying flat wooden rafts and pushing them out into the water. The rafts looked like a bunch of rugged dining tables bobbing on the waves. Boom! A huge explosion made Sonia's heart jump. Probably the boiler, yelled Mr. Davis above the roar. Sonia looked back toward the bow of the ship. It was high in the air now. She saw her mother gripping Derek with one hand and clutching the deck rail with the other. Her eyes were fixed on the water that was inching ever closer. Here! Down here! A voice called to them from the water. Sonia looked over the edge. A young sailor was swimming about 10 feet below them, holding onto the raft. You've got to jump! Jump onto the raft! Hurry! Sonia turned to look into her mother's eyes. Go, her mother said. Go now. Show your brother how. Sonia squeezed through the railing and stood on the edge of the ship. Spray from the waves drenched and temporarily blinded her. She took a deep breath. Her heart pounded. She let go of the rail and jumped. Thank you very much.